Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. Our next guest this morning is an award-winning journalist and author. He covered University of Alabama and Southeastern Conference athletics for almost 2 decades. Now, he's written a book that shows how Alabama football and the history of our country are intertwined. It's called When Winning Was Everything and tells the stories of Tide football players who also served in World War II. And with that, we say good morning to Delbert Reed. And how are you today, sir?
Great, John. Thank you for having me.
Well, we were just talking during the break, and this is the book right here. It is an absolutely fascinating book. And I was asking you how you came up with an idea to do this, because it seems like World War II, Alabama football, just two extremes right there. How did you come up with the idea of combining the two?
A very interesting story that Paul Bryant Jr. came up with the idea, in fact. He and I go back a long way, and I've written a book about Coach Bryant and another book or two, and I worked with Paul Bryant Jr. for a long time. He read a book one weekend about professional baseball players in World War II and called me on Monday morning after the weekend and said, "Hey, I thought about you this weekend. I got an idea for you," and pitched the idea. To make a long story short, within a short time, he had commissioned the book project through the Bryant Museum, and I began working on the book. And about 12 months later, we have a book. And it's turned out to be what we think is a wonderful tribute to Alabama football players who were veterans in World War II. That's what the intent was.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And one of the things that's really struck me looking through the book is there's one photo in there of Alabama football players actually joining the Army at halftime of the game. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, as you know, there was a great rush of patriotism right after Pearl Harbor, and a lot of people went in. A lot of people left school immediately. A lot of players left immediately and went in to the war. And the 42 team went ahead and played its season out, and at the end of the season, they all went. And those 6 or 7 guys you saw the photograph were joining the Marines in their football uniforms at halftime of Alabama's last home game in 1942. And they all went to war. They joined the Marines, and this is one of them, and he ended up on Iwo Jima. And he's featured in the book. John Studi Staples, his story is a wonderful account of how it was on Iwo Jima.
And you actually see here, I know we can't, your viewers at home can't see this, but right here, this is Coach Bryant right here in his Navy uniform on
right,
there. And
right.
It actually says in there, he actually rushed to the front of the line to join up.
That's exactly right. They had to push him aside once and say, "Go back, we don't want you yet, we're not ready for you." Sent him back to Nashville, where he was living and coaching at the time, and 2 weeks later he hopped another train, went back to Washington, said, "I'm here again." And they said, "Well, we're not ready yet. I told you we'd call you when we were ready for you to start the program we want to start." And he said, "Well, I can't go home now. I've done told everybody I'm going to war, and I'm not going back. I'm staying." So he was in Washington about 3 weeks before they could get him processed and get him involved and start the program that he was involved with, which was mainly taking all the coaches in the country and putting them into service at locations to teach physical fitness to the guys going into service.
Well, Delbert, I wish we had all morning to talk, but this is a fascinating book, and you can pick it up at the Bryant Museum and online as well, right?
Right.
Right.
BryantMuseum.com will tell you a little more about the book, and you can order it there.
Delbert Reed, thank you very much for stopping by today.
Thank you, John.
And when we return, he's currently playing backup to the backup, but one day Phillip Sims might very well be the starter at Alabama. What does he have to do to make that dream a reality? We'll ask his father that question. This is Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. I think it's safe to say that Phillip Sims was destined to play quarterback. Both his dad and his uncle played the position, and growing up as a boy playing youth football, they would try Phillip at other positions because he was so big and strong and fast, but he always found his way back to the quarterback position, and he's done it quite well. He's been a high school All-American, and now he's a freshman at the University of Alabama. Recently, WVUA sports correspondent Mike Parker sat down with the man most responsible for developing Phillip, his dad, Jeff Sims. We think you'll enjoy this interview on the development of a college quarterback.
Mr. Sims, when you and Phillip visited last spring, what was it about Alabama that made him hurry and rush his decision and commit on the spot?
It was a lot, had to do with Coach Sal Sinceri and the relationship not only he had with Philip, but what he had with me and Mrs. Sims. And we felt very comfortable with him. We felt very comfortable with a lot of the things he shared with us about the university and the football program.
Mr. Sims, you and your brother were quarterbacks. So Philip has been groomed as a quarterback his whole life. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the step-by-step process that you used to get Philip where he is.
You know, he started out at an early age. Philip first got into football when he was about 6, 7 years old. And at that time, I signed him up for the Parks and Rec Flag League. And of course, he wanted to be a receiver and he didn't want to be a quarterback, but unfortunately, he had the best arm out there with all of the kids. So we had to put him at quarterback, and then we found out we didn't have a receiver. So it went from that age to he started playing tackle football at the age of 9, and they played him at defensive end, and he was the best quarterback out there. And from there, we used to go back and forth with controversy of him trying to do what he wanted to do versus what he was made out to do. And eventually, by the time he got 10 years old, it kind of sunk in, and I carried him to his first football camp then.
Now, what would you say is Philip's greatest attribute as a quarterback?
The knowledge of the game with the desire of just, he was always been told by different critics and different coaches that, you know, kids are good, but some things are just meant to be. And he did everything and had the mechanics and ability just made to be a quarterback.
Now, what would you say are his strengths and weaknesses? What does he need to work on to develop as a quarterback?
Continue to learn, continue to study the game, continue to improve, try to be the best he can, as long as he stay within himself and the capabilities he have. He'll have a very successful career.
What is Philip's favorite ball to throw?
He loves to throw that deep fade or that post route, that deep post, because he loves to play tricks with the safeties. He loves to get those guys rotating out of the zone and then coming back and putting it on a laser on the line. Very strong arm kid.
Was Philip being a parade All-American his greatest achievement?
Yes, I think between the parade and the Gatorade Player of the Year, I think those was his 2 highest marks. He made a total of 20 teams last year, All-American teams, from all district to USA Today, Gatorade, and Parade All-American.
Thanks again to Mike Parker for providing us with that outstanding interview. Well, still to come here on Crimson Tide Kickoff, it's Pick'em time. Our guest prognosticator for this week will join us to break down the action in the SEC on this Saturday. You're watching Crimson Tide Kickoff. And welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. As always, John and myself are wearing beautiful shirts courtesy of the Locker Room, a Tuscaloosa tradition for 46 years, located on the University Strip. Original elephant wear, well, you need to go to Locker Room. That's the home of the original elephant wear, just like the shirts that I'm wearing and John's wearing. It is absolutely beautiful stuff, and we invite you to go by Monday through Saturday, or if you live out of town and you want to see what they've got in their inventory, find them online at www.locker-room.biz. It's the original elephant wear, and it's available at the Locker Room, a Tuscaloosa tradition.
And speaking of the Locker Room, the owner of the Locker Room, Mr. Alex Gatewood, joins us.
How appropriate is that?
Yeah, I tell you what. Joins us this morning. How are you, sir?
Fine, how you doing?
Doing well. You ready to make some picks?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're not talking shirts and ties right now. We're talking football. Okay. SEC, let's get it started with our first pick of the day, Tennessee at South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, pretty easy pick there, I think.
Yeah.
Kentucky and Mississippi State. Mississippi State red hot right now after beating Florida, then came back last week, beat UAB.
As a Mississippi State grad, I had to pick the Dogs.
Yeah, you can, and they're playing well this year. Hey, you know, the SEC East is so messed up this year. Vanderbilt, even though they lost last week, they're still in the thing. They go to Arkansas, though, and it's tough to win in Razorback country.
The Hogs all the way there.
You know, we talked about it earlier in the show. Who would have thought that Georgia would have even had a chance in this game a few weeks back? But, you know, right now it looks like Georgia's got a pretty good chance of winning the annual world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Not having it?
Nah, Gators.
Hey, strong pick there. All right, can anybody slow down Cam Newton? That's the question. Ole Miss gets its chance.
No way.
Going with the Tigers.
Going with the Tigers.
There you have it.
Bonus pick, they're going to be 11-0 when they come in here?
I believe so. We hope so.
Put them on the spot there.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Gatewood.
Okay.
And thank you for watching Crimson Tide Kickoff. Be sure to enjoy the games today, and we'll be back here next Saturday as we preview Alabama and LSU. And don't forget Sports Saturday and the news at 10 tonight at 10 o'clock.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.